Hey everybody, welcome to the Love Seat. Dana Sardano, Steffi Star here with you today. It is 420. Whoop whoop. Just thought I'd throw that out there for 2020. It's a little related to our topic today. But I am Steffi Star. I am a spirit plant facilitator. I assist people on inner journeys through the use of the molecules in nature that allow us to access the aspects of self that are not readily apparent and available to the cognitive conscious mind. So that's my jam. That's what I do. And Dana, her magical unicorn mystical self, is going to explain what she does, and then she has a topic for today that I'm super excited to hear about. And I haven't heard it, so it's all news to me.
Hi, I'm Dana Sardano. I am owner of the Buntu Fish Gallery in Stuart, Florida. It's an art gallery, an artist gallery actually created by artists for artists that is also an intuitive lounge. So we have merged the idea of creativity and spirituality and the idea that they grow in tandem. So here we are, we do a lot of cool stuff. We do workshops and we have readings and we create art and we just have these beautiful lives. So I said to Steffi this morning, we weren't supposed to film today, but I'm like, I got a kind of like a funny little interesting, insightful story that I wanted to share today. So I had a couple takeaways from the story actually, but I'll do my best to stay on task.
Stay in your lane, girl.
Me when you have to. So my husband and I decided that we're going to go to Costco yesterday, and I have done a really fantastic job of isolating myself from the madness that's going on out in the world.
Coronavirus. Smack in the middle of coronavirus right now. Yeah.
So I happen to live out in the woods in Jupiter Farms, and I have a large piece of property, and I don't really talk to anybody ever unless I choose to. And I also have this gallery in Stuart that nobody's coming into because of this virus. So I go from there to here and there to here and there to here, and I don't really interact much unless I have to run to Publix or something, and I try to do that with long pieces of time in between. So we decided we're going to go to Costco. So we get masks, we're ready, and I've kind of been like, hey, we don't need a mask because I'm a baby, but I wear the mask. And what I realized when I got there, and this has nothing to do with my story, but I just wanted to share this. We had to get online at Costco outside in the sun, might I add, but I'm not complaining, but online with our carts, and everybody had their tape, and then they had their masks, and they're clicking people and sending them in, and they're wiping down carts, and they got their gloves, and it was really eye-opening for me. Not because I didn't know this was going on in the world, but because of my ability to insulate myself from this. And with gratitude, I was like, oh, this is so cool that I've been living through this virus, and I've been living in this fairyland, painting and playing with my kids and getting up early and looking at the stars.
Shooting videos with Steffi Star.
And it was just one of those eye-opening things, how we kind of choose our own reality. And even though that this is going on, I make a choice to be in my own reality, and you could call it head in the sand all you want, but I always got a smile on my face, so I'm doing something right. Yeah. So I just found that little tidbit interesting. What I didn't mention was, because we were going to Costco, and because we knew it would be chaos, I was like, I'm going to eat a gummy, like a marijuana gummy.
Spirit plant.
So, and I don't do that very often because when I was younger, my partying days, I got stories. But as an adult, as a mother, as a business owner, as an educator, I really, really like living in clarity. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I think my clarity is far more enjoyable for me than anything else. And besides, I can't control my munchies, and that's a problem. Exhibit A. So anyway, I ate a half a gummy just to make the experience more interesting. So we're inside, and I have a certain personality type that I know, but it was brought to my attention. And I just get things done. And I don't plow over people. Like, I try to be respectful of people's boundaries and aware of other people's needs. But at the end of the day, I am my priority. In order for me to be what I would like to be, I'm not going to say need to be, what I would like to be for others, for my friends, for my children, for my husband, for whoever else who somehow benefits being in my vicinity, I have to take care of me first. You know, that the old expression, it's not even an expression, when you get on an airplane and you put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then you put it on the child. If you put it on the child first, nobody wins, right? So I have that mentality. So I definitely look out for number one. And it took me a long time to get to that place where I look out for number one without guilt, because the nature of my personality, I was conditioned to believe my whole life. You know, Dana's way or no way, and she's a one-way street, and she's selfish and this and that. And only as an adult did I realize, because I have an understanding of what my needs are and go about fulfilling those needs without allowing myself to be swayed by what other people think my needs should be, I was deemed a certain thing. So it took me a long time to get over that irrational belief system, right? So I just have my way of going about things. So now, gummied up, I'm in Costco with my husband, and I'm like normal, but I'm going back out the car, and he is such the man. He's so patient. Saint Rob. He does like to crack me up because he knows there's a potential that I may pee my pants. So he does, and especially in public. So he does, you know, he's like the straight man who likes to stoke the flames. So he's got the car. I am just like, we need this and we need this, and who knows when we'll be back, and we need this, and we're going to move, so we need to have this, and you know. So he's walking with the cart. I say daintily, but that's not nice. Very steadily and being very aware. He's a very cautious guy, right? So somebody tries to walk in front of him, he stops. But the difference between me and Rob is Rob will concede, I guess, or acquiesce, but he'll be annoyed. So even with the mask on, which was a perk, because now we both have masks and we could be irreverent and mock and do stuff and nobody knows, right? All you can see. And I went to this whole stone place where we can only communicate with our eyes now. He's like, you've got issues. So anyway, I digress. Maybe we can get to that later. So he does this thing where he'll stop and cause somebody's in the way or somebody, and he's all with the eye roll, and he's all annoyed because he has been victimized now by the situation, because he's been put in a situation where he has not acted assertively or in his best interest. He's allowed others to victimize him. It's a really, really strong word, but because he's allowed something that isn't okay with him, because it's just easier that way, or it's the right thing to do, or the nice thing to do, he carries resentment. Me, I'm walking through the store, weaving and bobbing, and so at one point we're in the snack aisle, and we're almost getting out of there, and we had to come around the aisle, and of course, you know how it is at Costco, you know, it's chaos. Even on, clicking people in, it's still chaos. He looks at me and he goes, "This is you." And I understood when he said it. It wasn't just in that moment. It was a metaphor for my life. He's just like, "This is you." And and you just go about your way. And I look at him and I burst into laughter because I know, yeah, that's totally me. But then we spoke about it a little bit, and he was like, "You're not a bulldozer. You're not where you step on people. But clearly, they should part ways for you. Because Dana's going to go, and Dana's going to get, and she's going to go where she wants to be and get what she needs to get, right?" So I'm dying because I'm like, oh my God, he just called, right here, put the mirror, boom, right? Yeah. So I'm dying, and so we walk around a little bit more, and I realize, I said, oh my God, I understand why I am not resentful of the government, why I'm not angry about what's going on in the world, why most of those external things don't bother me. And I said, because I do whatever the fuck I want to do, whenever the fuck I want to do it.
CCC.
Right?
CCC.
And again,
snap. That's what's up.
And, within reason. I am not burning down forests and knocking over liquor stores, because that's unreasonable and irrational. But in my own state of well-being, I do what I want to do. Oh, we have this coronavirus and we should all be freaking out. I'm going to paint because that's what I want to do, right?
Yep.
And there's just so many other things. So I realized that about myself. What he saw as me muscling my way through the crowd, no. What he saw as me getting where I needed to get, right?
That's it.
I was like, yeah, I'm just kind of like that. So because I do whatever I want to do, essentially, and whenever I want to do it, and I have to say within reason because I don't want all sorts of what is she doing, but whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it, I'm perfectly content. As a result of that, I never feel victimized.
Mm.
I never feel like, oh, but I put myself out for so-and-so and they didn't return the favor. If I put myself out for so-and-so, it's because I wanted to put myself out for so-and-so. So there's no resentment because how they respond is irrelevant because I did what I wanted to do. Make sense? And I'm seeing this, and I wasn't always like this. So I know what it's like to feel taken advantage of and put upon and, resentful and all those things. But like now, there are certain things that we feel sort of like obligated, but there's a fine line between that. It would be the right thing to do, or it would be a nice thing to do, or I would feel better doing it. But there's a fine line between what am I comfortable with? What do I want to do? Versus, oh, but they may not, and he may not, and the. So what I realized was, because I do what I want to do in my microcosm, and I don't, by nature or in general, feel victimized in my microcosm, then that expands to my macrocosm. So now, at this point, I don't know, I think I'm buying a piece of pizza for the kids. I don't know what's happening, right? But I'm all like, right? So then we go out to the car, and I get in the car, and I sit down, and I'm waiting for Rob to load all the groceries in the car because, I'm the princess.
That's why she has a husband.
Oh, my God, he's so great. So I'm sitting in the car, and then it dawns on me. That's the answer to all of it is self, right? So everything that we feel and experience in the world is just a projection. And like this is what I was telling you earlier, like this is not news, but it's a projection of our inner world. So my inner world is somebody who knows what she wants, does what she needs to do to get what she wants, is respectful to others around her, first and foremost is respectful to herself. And then as a result, that's how I see the world because that's the experience I'm having. So I have a thing about people who are always, this is something I work on in myself. So what I'm about to say, I'm not really speaking to others. I am speaking to myself. Let's just be clear. But we all think we know certain stuff and want to tell the rest of the world, right? And the reality is, if we could just focus on, there's one thing to feel it good and to have a positive experience and to be empowered and want to share it with people so maybe they could pick something up from it. And then there's another thing to not yet have that, but know what it is and try to preach it to the world. Does that make sense?
See.
So because, and I always resent that. I'm like, don't tell me how to live my life. I'd say what you're doing. But again, I could. You were supposed to zoot me on that one because I gotta go.
No, girl, I cannot zoot the truth. I cannot zoot the truth.
Oh, T-shirts!
I
cannot zoot the truth.
Bumper stickers. You said it.
So for me, because my experiences, oh my God, this world, this coronavirus world that I'm living in, is such a party. Only for me. And again, I'm not negating what people are going through. I'm talking about this one person right here, right? Because it's such a party for me, because in general, I have created this space here to be such a party. And so that was my Gummy eaten conclusion. Ooh. That at the end of the day, if we are feeling angst about what the government's doing and angst about what the WHO is doing, which always cracks me up.
The WHO, I know.
Yeah, I was like...
I've been in medicine my whole life. Yeah. I always knew who the World
Health
Organization was.
No.
And you call it the WHO, and everybody's like, the band?
Yeah, totally. So, but what everybody is doing wrong, right? The reason I don't feel anything is because I know that I'm going to be okay no matter what, because I have created that. And just one other piece, which is not relevant, but it's relevant. I'm just going to tack it on the back. I learned a long time ago from a rabbi that I worked with. I'm not going to mention his name because I just admitted to eating a gummy, and I don't want that to be connected. But
you might need to eat a gummy.
Yeah, he's a good man. I know him many, many years ago.
You can be a good man and eat gummies. Come on now.
But he said, you know what the key to success? I had to be 30 years old. He's like, you know what the key to success is? He's like, it's not intelligence, it's not drive, it's not charm, it's not any of those things. He said it's response to setback. And that always stuck with me. It's just getting up. right? Falling down and getting up. It's not, you're not failing if you're getting back up again and you're learning from it. And then I think about how that relates to adaptability in our world. Like I'm always like, okay, if this changes this way and this changes this way, it's human beings. We adapt. That's what we do.
And that all, I just have to say,
please say
I'm
something.
so grateful for what you shared, but that all ultimately is rooted foundationally in self-awareness and self-worth. How we respond, what we take out into the world. And the word for me that was reverberating through my head the entire time, this is going to come out your nose, hon. Be careful. The entire time you were telling your story, the word bouncing off my head like inside of a pinball machine was autonomy.
Oh, totally.
Self-actualization, self-realization, self-respect. And for me, everything you shared speaks to my own experience. I am a person, and I have been a person for a very long time who does what she needs to do. Quite literally, actually, to the extent that there are times where if I am not careful, I risk my freedom to follow my path. When the laws of man and the laws of nature are in confrontation, I will always err on the side of nature. So I do that with the work I do, and that puts me at odds with what so many people consider the legal system, the laws of our land.
Man's law.
Man's law versus God's law. So everything you just shared, it resonated because I live that way. I feel that way. I am the woman in the store who, if you looked at it from space, I am the water going through the rocks in the aisles of the supermarket.
Yeah, I'm all like
I'm not going to bump
football.
I'm not going to bump into you, and I'm not going to push you out of the way. But I am flexible enough to enter where there is no space, and I live my life that way because I need to get some shit done. I get shit done all day, every day, and that's why you and I get along the way we do. We're so similar in so many respects. Respectfully, I get what I need done. Respectfully, but what I will not do is acquiesce to irrationalities. I will not acquiesce to fear. Fear is like the darkest illusion we come up with in our mind. And the one thing that I want to say in closing, I don't have a lot to add. I think that Dana painted such an amazing picture, which she does. Hello, look behind us. She's extraordinarily talented, but verbally as well as, with the paintbrush. I have for a very long time had a mantra, which it came through me. I did not create this mantra, but it was given to me while I was transcribing from the other realms a book that was published in 2011 called The Dream. And there was a mantra that came through during that episode, multiple episodes that wound up making that book a reality. But one of the lessons was, there is no such thing as the whole wide world. There is the 6-inch space between your ears where the whole wide world unfolds. And what I have learned through absorbing and embodying that mantra, there is no such thing as the whole wide world. There is the 6-inch space between your ears where the whole wide world unfolds. What I have learned is when I tend that space with love and ferocity, my world changes. And to your point, we do not mean to demean or not be aware of or seem impartial and non-compassionate towards what's happening in the world with the coronavirus.
For sure.
But
everybody's experience is their own.
But I live in my world. That's the only world I can really acknowledge and devote myself to with my full effort and attention, because the whole wide world is constantly on the verge of careening off the tracks, in my opinion. I say it all the time. I'm going to say it here and now. And don't take it personally unless you feel compelled to. There is a highway to heaven and a highway to hell and a stairway to heaven for a reason. Many are called, few are chosen. I learned in my born-again Christian upbringing. There are people who will always be fearful. There are people who will always draw in the negative energy. There are people who will always be the victim. That is not my path. So I live in my world. I am navigating that with love, with attention, with awareness and compassion. And that's my gift to the world at
And
large.
grace.
Yes,
That's how
and
I see it,
grace.
with grace. Respect
Absolutely.
and grace. First, respect and grace yourself, and then respect and grace those around you.
And that's the gift to the world at large. But beyond that, I have nothing else to contribute. Because at the end of the day, I came here to be me. My being me fully, authentically, is a gift to every other me walking around the planet. And we could get into a whole nother show on a whole nother day about separation being the primal wound of our species, that at the end of the day, there is no separation. There is only a singular energy. I call it source. It doesn't matter what word you use, but it is all, and all is it. And there is no separation. So when I care for me, I am caring for you. When I love you, I love myself. When I see you, I see myself, good and bad. And I use what I see reflected to fashion this brand new thing every single day. So I love what you shared. I'm grateful that you brought it up. I'm grateful Spirit Plant was part of it, because these plants are screaming at us right now
The gummies.
to
Oh my
engage
God,
them,
gummy.
to better understand not just ourselves, but what's happening right now. So
yeah, you receive Spirit Plant in a much more mature and graceful and respectful way than I do.
I approach it sacredly.
Sacredly, I approach it like a child. I understand. I eat a gummy. I go to Costco. I just want to share one more piece before we go. So my dreams speak to me all the time. I don't always remember them, but they're very vivid. They're very profound. But last night I had a dream, and towards the end, again, I'm losing a lot of it, but I was in a hallway. And I was in like a school, and I was in charge of putting together the bulletin boards. And as I was doing the bulletin boards, every single one of them, without my realizing, and somebody pointed it out to me, was about the journey of self. And the last one that I remember seeing was, and remember, it's a bulletin board, so it looks like it's construction paper, but it was a rocket ship. And the rocket ship was going to the stars. And somebody said to me, but these are all about the self. Like that is something to be ashamed of. And I was like, exactly, because that's where it all starts. Of course, it's all about the self. And I do want to speak directly to those of you who are uncomfortable with this, because I've been there and I know what it's like to be uncomfortable with sort of looking out for number one, because it even has a negative connotation to saying
exactly.
I used to be the person that would order meat in a restaurant and it could be like bloody purple and mooing. And I ordered like medium well, and I wouldn't return it because I wouldn't want to put somebody else out. You know, I was that person. I can't even tell you the thousands, tens, it could even go into hundreds of thousands of dollars that I have lent or given to people over the years because I didn't know how to say no, or I put them first, or whatever it is. I could tell you stories of being put upon, taken advantage, disrespected my whole life because I didn't value myself. So I'm just sharing that because I'm not saying be selfish and plow people over at Costco, although the thought does make me chuckle. What I'm saying is know who you are, know your worthiness, know what you want, what you deserve, and then just figure out how to get it. And don't allow these irrational thoughts, these irrational belief systems about yourself, and other people projecting their fear and their insecurities and their lack of worthiness onto you. Remember, you're worthy, and you can have what you want. My sister-in-law said to me yesterday in a conversation, we're talking about my relationship with my husband, and don't misunderstand, I could hit him with a shovel and bury him in the backyard on the daily. However, we have really the most beautiful and respectful relationship, and minus that thing that I just said. And she was talking about dating and talking about how we were like the golden ring. We were like what you reach for. And I'm like, let's not do this where you act as if I'm the only person who could have that. Because 10 years ago, I was the person looking around going, why can't I have that? And the key to my having that was figuring out who I was, what I wanted, what I deserved, and my own worthiness. So just remember, we are all at different stages of how we see ourselves. But what we all have in common is that it begins with the self. So that's my serious face.
That's amazing.
Well, now it's gone. Sorry. So Stephi,
It's a beautiful moment, and then
I
take it sideways.
I get uncomfortable.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to tack on one thing.
Okay.
You're worthy because you are. Do not get it twisted. Do not think that there is something that is missing from that sentence. You are worthy. Period. You're worthy because you're here.
Yeah.
Anything else you think you need to figure out in order to be that? Get rid of that idea. Don't go find the thing. Get rid of that idea. You're worthy because you are. I'm worthy because I am. Dana's worthy because she is. So, thank you so much for watching today.
I love you so
this
much.
was a blast. I love you so much too. And we love you. And we're grateful to the 5 of you who decide to tune in. And we will see you next time. I think we're going to be doing a few more of these for sure.
We got some old ones to drop.
Yeah, we got some old ones to throw up. Yeah, we're getting there. So thanks for being here. We'll catch you next time and have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye.